Hi there,
Hi.
friends. What's going on? It's your boys. We're back. The Alpha Nerds. Alpha 3, The Warrior's Dream. That title makes no sense because technically Alpha 3 is. We won't get into it. But I am joined here today by Seth, the Divine Blade Slykehouse.
What's up, buddy?
And I am Pedro, the Powder Puff Man Carrasquillo.
The Powder Puff Man.
Yo, they're coming back.
I
You see
saw
that?
that. I did. I saw that.
I'm all
Pretty
about.
crazy.
I'm all about it.
You
Shout out
are.
to shout out to Blossom. What's up?
Oh my
E-
god.
Even though most guys are Buttercup guys, but I think people sleep on Blossom. Just saying.
Butter. Which one was the black one? Not the black haired one.
Buttercup. She was like the green
Buttercup.
one. Or I'm
Yeah.
colorblind, so to me it looked green. But
I forgot you were colorblind.
yeah, I've never met any person who's like I like Bubbles. I don't think anyone's ever.
Bubbles was like the stupid one, wasn't she?
Yeah, the stupid blue one.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, it was a hard no on that. But what you been up to, buddy? What you been playing? Talk to me. How's life?
Not a whole lot, man. I'm in this situation. We often call them gaming depressions, where I
Mm.
just can't. I can't find the one. I'm struggling, and I'm jumping back and forth. I'm still dabbling my toes into Trails of Cold Steel when I get the chance. But I just, dude, it really bugs me how badly that game runs on PC, and I don't get why that game runs so bad
I
because it
just
doesn't
think
make any sense.
budget constraints with Falcom. Like I don't think there's an optimized version for that. And if you, I think about it, if you stretch that out, there's what a Switch version, PS4, PC. I don't believe they made a Vita version of that, but I could be incorrect on that. Um, so like I just think like if Falcom like what they could do is just kind of specialize in one system. Like I get you wanna spread your reach, and I think where they've made a lot of money is on PC, if I remember correct. Like a lot of their games are experienced on PC. Like I think that's
Yeah,
where um, they have a broad audience. I also think they need to be on PlayStation. So if you kind of eliminate the Switch shit and just get on PlayStation, that's where the JRPGs are. Get on PC, and I think you're in those two spaces. I think um, I don't know. I think they have a better chance of just kind of focusing on quality. I think they also need a new fucking engine, man. They've stretched that engine.
yeah.
Think about it. That engine was running on Vita, so we're on PS4 Pro and maxed out PCs, and they're like, "What the fuck is this?"
It's just so weird, dude. Because like randomly, for no reason at all, the frame rate will just get cut in half,
Yeah,
and I'm like, God, why is this doing
I
this? And
I didn't have that problem
it's
on
never got better.
PS5.
See, I've heard a lot of people say they don't have that problem, but I've had the problem with every single one of the games. The worst one was Trails of Cold Steel 2 on my PS4
I
Pro.
remember that. I remember that.
Yeah, that was insufferable. So that's annoying. And dude, we got to talk about game openings real quick, all right? Because George Loftus from Frameskip, he recommended me Homefront Revolution. He said no one talked about it. It's underrated gem,
Ooh.
and it was $4 on Steam. I'm like,
Okay.
$4? Even if I get 2 hours of fun out of it, I'm in. And he was telling me how it has like these Far Cry type systems in it, and you get to
Yeah.
explore Philly. And I'm like, actually, this sounds pretty dope. All right, I'm in. But I downloaded it, and dude, for the first, I mean, that game has the worst opening I've ever played. Like, I don't even know what's going on in the first hour of this game. And I actually fell asleep playing it last night because I'm like, I don't care. There's like all this mindless exposition of stuff that I don't care about. And I'm like, dude, just like, this isn't good. Like, let me actually do something and let me in there. I don't need, I don't know, man. And like, it's taking a lot of tropes from games that were like 10 years old, right? Like,
Yeah.
where do I go? Oh, the brightly blue spray painted ledge. I guess I'll jump there in the middle of this dark, dreary Philadelphia. Um, it reminds me a lot of Metro. It's got that aesthetic vibe, Metro aesthetic vibe,
Yeah.
but it feels like Far Cry. And I'm gonna try and dive in again when I'm feeling a little bit better about it. But at this point, I'm just kind of like, I'm out. I think I uninstalled it already.
I'm
Actually, I'm
I'm
just being
glad
honest.
that you only paid $4 for that. I respect George and his candor, if you will, but I
Yeah.
found that game to be a hot, steamy fucking turd when I tried it, and I hated it. I like the premise. I like the idea of Homefront. I just think execution wise, much like George's Boston Bruins in the playoffs, but
Oh my
are
god.
lacking. So like it's just I don't know. I like I said, I like the premise of the game. I also had a terrible experience. That opening is brutal. I've suppressed that trauma from my
Okay.
brain.
So you agree though that the opening is like
Brutal,
awful.
fucking brutal.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad we're not. I'm glad I'm not alone in that.
Yeah, I feel you on that gaming depression though, because like I've been dabbling in games and jumping in, jumping out, but for me, one game specifically has been scratching my itch, and you're probably gonna tell me I'm wrong about this, but I'm gonna fiercely disagree with you, and I'm in the camp of I'm a Wild Arms guy. I like it. Uh,
Okay.
I it's on PS Plus or the whatever the premium service is, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But specifically with Wild Arms, like it just scratched this perfect itch for me, where I was in the mood of it for an RPG. I'm just like I didn't want to play anything modern. I don't know what it was, and I saw Wild Arms, like you know what? Like I had this back when I was a collector, and then got rid of it. But I'm gonna dabble back into this, and just Chef's Kiss. Just it's great. It's like a western with anime, and the soundtrack is fucking awesome. Like it just really hits. Don't I'm not a big fan of the encounter rates, but that I understand that's what I signed up for. But
Different era.
yeah, and you gotta temper your expectations. Where we're spoiled down these days of RPGs, where you can kind of be in control of a lot of the encounter rates you have in RPGs. But like for that time, that is a banger of a game, and it sucks that it was so underrated, and that like Sony, I didn't like. Now that I can look back at that time period, Sony has two RPG franchises that they could do a lot with that they're doing nothing with currently, which breaks my heart. Because
Tell me about him.
I would buy another Wild Arms game. Like I think just based off what I know of the franchise and my experience so far with part one, where I'm like 10 hours in, and I've slowly been changing my tune on Legend of Dragoon, that I'm willing to commit to a full playthrough of it. And I think with those two franchises, could you imagine if they like just gave them the Shadow of the Colossus treatment? Like, these are remade from the ground up, they're back. Like, I think they would be really positively received.
I think the best way to do that is to get some really good pixel artists in there and do them. I don't need a 3D remake of everything, but we were just talking last episode about Breath of Fire 4 and how
Yeah,
good that game holds up. And you could do something like that reasonably with like Wild Arms or a lot of these old school RPGs. There's a lot of RPGs that flew under the radar of me and you that
yeah.
we still play. Dude, Star Ocean 2 is supposed to be one of the greatest RPGs of all time, and I've never played it.
Yeah. Nope, not I.
And it's supposed to be massive.
You're talking about Second Story, or
Yeah, second story.
oh, I did have it. I didn't get Star Ocean as a kid. Like I didn't understand. I'm like,
Yeah.
because that was in like the 3D era, where you're like, oh, look at these graphics, and you get this kind of like 2D. Like I'm like, these graphics are trash, and I didn't understand. Like Star Ocean back then was like, that was like a grown man's RPG. It was a sci-fi RPG.
Yeah.
It's very very grind heavy. Like it was not very forgiving, and I would like to replay it. I don't think there's any updated version. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that first encounter got updated. Whichever is on consoles now, it's like first encounter or something like that. I can't think
But
of
do
the
you
name.
remember me and you sat down and watched like a YouTube video of it, and there is like so much to Star Ocean and
Yeah,
Second Story. There's like 50 endings or something
yeah.
crazy
It's
like that.
fucking. It's a grind. It's a big boy.
And
Also,
then
recently I was at a game store over my birthday like week, and I remember years ago. This was probably like dating back like a decade at this point. How long you and I have known each other? Like
mhm.
you had mentioned Thousand Arms,
Oh my god,
and
yeah.
and this game shop had it, and I went to buy it, and when I was told the price, I immediately backed out. I was like, we're out.
Yeah.
$200+ that game.
Was it the complete edition with the box and
Yeah,
everything? Legendary editions, dude. This 1,000 Arms and Lunar 1 and 2 had these really cool for people who don't know, they have these really cool like boxed editions. That this guy, I forget the company, they went under, but
Working
they
designs.
used to make working designs. They used to give you like stickers and like little like art books and stuff in these boxed editions. And I used to have the one for Lunar, but I sold it when I needed money when I was a young early 20s lad. And then Thousand Arms, dude, Thousand Arms is a really, really unique game because it is a dating simulator, but it's a dating simulator with a really good RPG aspect underneath of it. And
Okay.
it's not like these Steam dating simulators now that come out where it's like, like they're all like sex games, right? This was like you take these girls out on dates, and the stronger your relationship with the girls becomes, you can like channel that energy into your weapons and like craft new weapons. Because what's really cool about Thousand Arms is the main character is a blacksmith.
Oh, that's dope.
He's not like a warrior or anything, he's a blacksmith.
That's pretty dope.
So that actually is really cool. It's a
Yeah.
really cool game.
That reminds me of another game that I played a couple of years ago on my Saturn, Soccer Wars, like where it's like a dating sim, but then like a or like a grid based RPG where you're in mechs. So it's
Oh yeah.
yeah, so that sounds a lot like that. But yeah, like so
Also, play Xenogears, you asshole.
I need
I'm
to.
sick of
I
it.
I'm
I'm sick of it.
what I'm waiting for because I'm either gonna play Xenogears one of two ways. I'm either gonna play it on my Vita, or I'm gonna wait for it to come to the PlayStation Classic stuff on the PS5. So like it's on the radar. It's time. It's been
It
long
is
enough.
time.
Like I recently wrote a list down of RPGs that like I am committing to playing, and on that list is Legend of Dragoon, Thousand Arms if I can find a way to play it. Um, I'm gonna commit to Xenogears and then the Xenosaga games.
Yeah, dude, because Xenogears is a game for you.
Yeah, I love mecha
It's
games. I
a
love them.
it's a game where, I mean, and honestly, you're not really in the mech too much until the second half.
Okay,
But it's got a really unique combat system that deals with combos like a fighting game.
love that.
It's got a amazing story, a really cool cast of characters, and a big twist at the end.
Okay, I
And
that checks all the boxes for me.
we love a good JRPG twist.
Yeah.
Also, I do believe they were planning on making a Xenogears spin-off game because there is a random super fun mini game in the middle of Xenogears that is an arena mech combat game.
Oh baby.
And you only get to play it one time
Oh
and then never come back to it ever again in that
damn.
game. And it's so weird that it's just like randomly thrown in there, but it is really cool.
Yeah, and see, my favorite thing about just diving back into Wild Arms is like it's making me rediscover my love for just JRPGs, like
Mm,
just those types of games, and like now that I'm getting a certain itch scratched, I want more. So
yeah.
it's nice to be back. It's nice to be back to comfort food. It's like being back. It's like being back in the womb. You didn't really know you loved it until you're back there. You're like,
hmm
oh yeah, oh
hmm
yeah. So I've been playing a little bit of that. I also downloaded Far Cry 5
hmm
on Game Pass, ironically enough, and I've been really enjoying that. Like I got into it when it first came out, and for some reason or another, just stopped playing it, and then coming back to it. Because I remember seeing all like the controversy. Wow, I can't talk tonight. A couple of years ago, where this is supposed to be like a social commentary on Trump and all that. It's not that like at all. But I
Right.
love the way this game's done. I like that it's set in America. I think it's very relatable. So I just really, really enjoying my time with that. And then lastly, um, I've been playing Killzone Mercenary on my Vita, and I really like that. Good game. Good
Okay.
game. Like I mean, it's not
Okay.
like I wouldn't. It's not anything life changing by any stretch of the imagination, but like I for some reason was in a Killzone mood, and I had originally put on the PS2 one. That game still runs like ass, no matter what console you play that on. So then I noticed, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I have Killzone Mercenary. I've never played it, and then I fired it up, and I'm killing some Hellghast. I'm like, I miss this franchise. I miss this franchise so much. And then I noticed that there is a Resistance game on Vita that I got to check out. So, like, if in 2022 I can have a new new Killzone and a new Resistance experience, that's a good year for me.
That is a good year.
That's a solid fucking
I
year,
mean,
bud.
I'm in, dude. I'm in for Killzone. I didn't like Killzone 3. I wasn't a big fan of like the story of it, but I loved Killzone 1 and 2, and I liked Killzone Shadowfall until the end.
Yeah, I remember.
The ending of Killzone Shadowfall is terrible.
I remember you specifically like being upset at that ending of
Yeah,
Shadowfall.
worst ending I've ever seen in a video game. I mean, the rest of that game was a ton of fun, a great launch for the PS4, right?
Yeah,
But they absolutely ruined it in the ending,
I kind
and I don't
I kind of
understand
want
what
to
they were
go back and
thinking.
play it just to see like how well it's aged, because like you know those launch games are like, oh, look at our graphics, look at what we didn't do here, look at, and like to see how far in 2022 where like how whether it's aged poorly or it's aged fine, like I'm really curious because I enjoyed my time with Shadowfall, but I agreed with the ending. I thought the
I
ending
feel
was
like
brutal.
I feel like Shadowfall would look really good. I mean, I don't know, but I'm looking at gameplay here, and it looks like it holds up pretty good. I mean, there's definitely texture, like
Yeah.
textures that aren't as good as they are nowadays, but it looks like it holds up pretty well still.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think I want to definitely try that when I get a chance. You know, it's
I'm
definitely,
noticing that games nowadays in the last 10 years hold up a lot better than they used to.
yeah, I think well, a lot of games have very similar art styles, especially like first person shooters. I noticed just tend to look the same. I don't like I'm
Yeah,
trying to find the words, like the difference to me between like Halo 5 and Halo Infinite is very negligible to me, like as far as like the
yeah,
aesthetically the way it looks. I think, obviously gameplay wise and story wise, peas in a, or not peas in a pod, but basically like oil and water, they don't mix, like it's either one or the other. But I think just like I've noticed that about shooters lately, like they look very similar, and
yeah.
so
How do you feel about Halo Infinite?
I enjoyed the campaign. I wasn't like, I think the state it's in is a little embarrassing. Like if you're what was it, 343 that makes it now?
Yeah,
Yeah, if you're them, like that's fucked. Like you I don't want to. Do I want to say drop the ball? Like, do we want to? Are we gonna label it
dropped the
that?
ball, screwed the pooch, dude. They had so much hype in that first month that Halo Infinite came out. I actually played it. I haven't played a Halo game since Reach, and I bought Halo, or not bought it, but played it on Game Pass. I was like, oh, this is great. And then like they didn't support it, and the whole community left, and
Yeah,
I'm good on Halo Infinite.
yeah, yeah. Like I said, the campaign was enjoyable, but with the some of the open world ish stuff was, I could have just give me a linear campaign, but that could just be me not wanting change. Because I was also the same way when like Pokemon changed slightly. I was like, nope. So like that just could be me being old at this point. But yeah. So that's what I've been dabbling in. It's like I'm in the same boat as you though. It's just besides Wild Arms, it's hard to find that the one. It's hard to find that game that's like, all right, come here, let me bring you into my supple embrace, and you know,
Watson and I took a shot in the dark, and we're gonna play a recent release on Steam that's in alpha right now.
okay, what's that?
It's called Dungeons of Sundara. It is
Oh,
a cooperative dungeon crawl action RPG,
uh,
and it looks really
like
fun,
Diablo?
like Diablo but third person.
Oh,
Yeah, it looks really cool. But I have very low expectations for
that's
it,
always the
high
best.
hopes. Yeah, low expectations, high hopes, because the developer behind the game doesn't have like a very good track
Oh
history, I
no.
guess. So like they canceled their last game, which was like Kings and Heroes or something stupid like that, and they repurposed all those assets into this game, Dungeons of Sundara. So I don't know. And then they tried to make like another game. What was it called here? Let me see. They tried to make this other game that flopped really hard called Zeus's Battlegrounds,
Mm,
and apparently that did not do well, and they abandoned that real quick.
wow.
So yeah, I don't know.
I I have a weird relationship with these dungeon crawlers because like I want to like them, but the only one I've ever really liked was Baldur's Gate, and other than that, like, and the X-Men Legends game, like I feel like they play similarly to that, where that's that isometric top down. You're going into the dungeon and just getting loot, or even like a Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Like I want to love these games. Like I feel like these games are up my alley, but then like aside from a handful of experiences, I never really get what I'm looking for.
I enjoyed Diablo 3.
You know what's sad? Until my first Diablo game was actually Diablo Immortal.
What'd you think of Diablo Immortal?
I thought gameplay wise, I really liked it. It was cool on my phone. When I was down in training, in between classes, I was playing Diablo Immortal. I'm about a level 25 monk, but I like I
We were
said,
just about to talk about it, and then had that storm
yeah, I
outside.
forgot about that. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. Like, I obviously see the issues with the monetization, and I feel like people way bigger than us have been crying from the rooftops about it. So we don't need to necessarily beat a dead horse. But gameplay wise, like, it makes me excited for Diablo 4. Like, as long as it's a Game Pass game, I'm in.
I mean, I'm sure it will be,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
fuck.
that
That's the Game Pass, and like I'm hoping this PSN thing has me spoiled. Where I'm like, is it coming? Ooh. Like
So let's talk about PSN
yeah.
because you said you had something to say, and I'm not in on it. I could care less. I do like Xbox Game Pass, but the PSN thing, the PS Plus Pro or whatever it's called, I can't remember the name of it.
It's like PlayStation Premium, or
Yeah.
yeah, it's basically like they turned it into a service, and um I upgraded because I was gonna download Stray because I wanted to check it out
Hmm.
because it was getting crazy reviews, and like they're like, hey, instead of just buying this, it'll cost you an extra $3 for the next 2 weeks to check out our service. I'm like, all right, it's $3. Like, what the fuck?
Hmm.
So I sign up. I'm like, I'm in, and I go browsing the catalog, and they have some PS classics that I really liked. Obviously, that's how I got Wild Arms, but I think I saw Siphon Filters there, a couple other bangers, and then when I like browse the categories, like you can on PS5 you get Spider-Man Miles Morales. I believe you get Horizon. You get a bunch of first party stuff. Assassin's Creed Valhalla is there. I just think overall it seems like good value. Like I'm enjoying it right now. As long as you keep feeding me, my stuff I want to play as far as like on the classics and on the other catalogs. Like I think it's a quality service. So if those of you who are on the fence about upgrading, I would recommend it unless you're hardcore first party and you're probably going to own a lot of the stuff they give you. Like me, I'm one of those people who didn't buy Horizon for Horizon Zero Dawn, the new one. So like now I can just download it. Or even like the upgraded Death Stranding, which I was going to buy, but now I'm not because I can just download it. So as long as I continue to pay for the service. So far I'm pretty satisfied. The Wild Arms runs beautifully on PS5. There's no hiccups with lag. There's save states. If you fuck up or like fall down a hole or whatever, you can just rewind real quick. No harm, no foul. If you run into a battle you don't feel like doing, you just rewind a little bit, like a second back, and not and run into that battle. So like I think there's a lot of quality of life stuff. Wild Arms has trophies, so some of these PS1 games have trophies that are pretty cool. And like I said, overall I'm pretty happy with it. Ironically enough, I didn't even touch Stray yet. I was too intrigued by the other stuff that's on the service. As far as comparing it to
So
Game Pass, I don't think that's really a responsible conversation at this junction. Just because I just think Game Pass, they've been at it for how long? Everything first party is going to be there. I think they do a really good job of curating a big catalog that there's always something on Game Pass that you're gonna like. Ooh, I haven't touched that. Let me download that. So like right now, like I would say you can have that discussion in, let's say, 6 months. Like that's a reasonable discussion for me
six
in six
months.
months.
So how do you feel about the future of gaming becoming subscription services?
This is hard for me because like there is one side of me that is, oh, like I love collecting and I like owning my games physically, and there's something to be said about just staring at your game shelf and like, all right, I have that game forever, as ever long as I fucking want. Um,
Mhm.
unless it's an online based game, then it becomes a paperweight. But um, there's also a convenience of like with Game Pass and now this PlayStation service where if a new game comes out, like I just hit download and then I just have it. I don't got to go to the store. I don't got to go, seeing if they have a copy. I don't have to pre-order anything. Um, so I think it's hard, but I think I'm more leaning towards the side of like digital. Like I think I prefer things digitally. It's less clutter in the house, or even if you got a small apartment, like I think eventually like you got a big collection, like that shit adds up, and once you're done with a game, like it just sits there unless you decide you want to replay it. And then like with Game Pass or PSN, you just get it off your system, you uninstall it, and it goes away. And
Right.
you can get something else. But I also think stuff on Game Pass and these other subscription services leads you to not really finish games because you're always like, oh, what's this? What's that? What's this? So like both. I think it's a bit of a double edged sword to be honest. Like I said, I prefer the online stuff. But what I do now is like anything PlayStation, I will tend to buy a physical version just because like I like having it. But like
Mhm.
if your main console is PlayStation and then like your secondary console is Xbox or vice versa, I think it behooves you to have like that streaming service because then like anything first party on Xbox, I'm in. I have it. It's cool. I don't got to run around. I don't have to invest a ton of money into it. Like I have my base console, I have my service, and we're good to go. And then I can focus my monies on. All right, there's a collector's edition for God of War. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna. So it just, I like that we have options, and that's, I guess, the best part. I think it's really good for gamers right now. My
Right.
one gripe is that I think you're going to the more and more we get to these subscription models, I think the less and less you're going to see quality physical versions of games where, um, you're seeing it famously with some of these collector's editions that Sony's been putting out with steelbook display cases with no games in them, which I think
Right.
is I don't know who to blame on that, but I think that's just tough. Where if you want a game in there, you're gonna have to pay another $70. Like so, I don't that trend I don't
So
like, but overall I'm satisfied.
I don't hate it.
What's the
I
hate?
don't hate it. Well, with the collector's edition thing, I don't hate it because to me, it's like, well, I don't see the downside, right? I mean, so you got the collector's edition stuff,
Yeah,
and then you can get the game digitally or physical or however you want, right? Um, I think that's a plus. Now, to your point about going digital, I up until I don't know, not that long ago, was all on board 100% a physical guy,
yeah,
physical media, right?
mm,
That changed when I started becoming an adult, like a real adult.
yeah,
And I was like, I don't want this bullshit sitting around everywhere. Like, come on, man. Like, I don't want 47 games that I'm never gonna play sitting on my TV stand, taking up space. As much as I love my game collection and whatnot, I have a really small apartment, and I just don't. I don't have room for it. And dude, having something digital is just so convenient,
yeah,
especially when you're like, shit, I'm at work, right? And I want to play this game when I get home. I'll go on my fucking app and boop boop download. I know it's going to be downloaded and updated when I get home, and I'm good to go and play it. We lost the battle. I think we lost the battle for physical
oh my
media
god, yeah, yeah,
a long time
yeah,
ago when we needed 100 gigabyte patches on day one. The last midnight release I went to was Fallout 4, and I'll never forget, dude, being super excited, sitting down. I got my six pack, and I got I got everything I need, my snacks and whatnot. I'm ready to play Fallout all
and
night,
then
and I put the
hell,
disc in, and it took forever to download
yeah,
the day one patch, and I'm like, dude, but by the time I fucking got done with the day one patch downloading, I was drunk and I was ready for bed. And
yeah.
I'm like, all right,
I have a
well,
funny story
fuck
about that night because I've had this happen to me on two separate occasions. So like I blame myself for this. So my first lesson was when as you know, I'm a big Metal Gear guy. So when the Phantom Pain came out, I'm like, all right, midnight. I'm there. I'm there midnight. And I did what you did. I
Yep.
had pizza, I had 6 pack of beer, I had my snacks, and I was ready to go. And I had class the next day at like 9 a.m. But I'm like, I could fucking stay up till 1 or 2, whatever. Yeah,
Yep.
it wasn't a huge deal. Then I get home and I put it in the system, and this install is going to take approximately 3 hours. I'm like, well, fuck. There went my game time. So
Yep.
I put that pizza in the goddamn fridge and drank the beer and then went to bed just like you did. And then I did the same thing with Fallout 4. I'm like midnight release. I'm with it. I go and I mosey my stupid ass over to GameStop and pick up my copy and run on home. And this time, I had a case of beer, I had food ready to go, and I was like, yeah, this is what we're gonna do. And this was a weekend. I played it smart. Like I didn't schedule any classes. And I remember the same fucking thing happened where it's a big ass update and then install. And
Yep.
by the time I was like done, I was over it. I'm like I put on a movie and went to bed. Like it's stupid. So
Yep.
like once midnight releases got like ruined, I've never been to a midnight release since Fallout 4 for the record. But
Nope. No reason.
yeah, there's no reason to now. Like now with new God of War, I pre-order or I want to pre-order or preload it or whatever the fuck it is, because like when I get home, when I get off work that day, I want that bad boy on my system. It's coming out on a 3 day
Yep.
weekend, so it's gonna be downloaded. It's gonna be ready to go. And I did that with Last of Us 2. I did that with Ghost of Tsushima. Like I've slowly switched over to the digital side of it because like it's just so more convenient. It's so much more convenient. Oh my god, it's so
Yep.
much more convenient.
It is. It was a game changer for me when I was like, holy shit, this actually is way better, and I was kind of like, all right, and yeah, I think where I think I finally completely broke was during my Final Fantasy VII remake crisis,
Mm.
and I was like, I don't have to worry about like going to GameStop
Oh, just
anymore.
hit the button.
It's over. Yeah, it's over. We're good, dude.
Yeah.
And that's when they beat me. Corona got me.
Yeah, because what I famously was doing too was like, and I stopped this habit because I was just like, all right, I'm over buying this. Like I would buy games if there was a game I really liked, I would buy it digitally and then I'd buy like the collector's edition and keep it sealed. So I'd buy it twice,
Mm,
and then like
mm-hmm,
after a while, I'm
mm-hmm.
like, why am I doing this? And what made me stop was actually Shin Megami Tensei 5, where I own 2 copies of Shin Megami Tensei 5 plus a digital one because I forgot I had
Mm-hmm.
ordered one on Amazon, and then I ordered one online at GameStop. So I got my Amazon one. I was like, okay. And then like this other game showed up. I'm like, what? Why do I have 2 copies of this? So I'm like, I'm I sunk over $200 into a game I don't like necessarily like that much, and now
Mm-hmm.
I'm just out that money. So like, had I just bought it digitally, I mean, yeah, it is what it is. I wouldn't, I still wouldn't be able to recoup that money, but I would just be able to delete it off my system and not think about it. Now I just stare at them all the
Yep.
time.
Yeah, I'm all about the digital life now. I don't think I'm ever going back. It's gonna be hard to get me out of
No,
it.
I think for me, unless basically, I still reserve right. Like if there's a game coming out that I like enough and I'm into it, I'll buy a collector's edition if there's the right stuff in it. Also, like there has to be
Hmm.
the right stuff. Like I'm a big steelbook guy, love steelbooks, so that's one way to get me in hook, line, and sinker. Um,
Hmm.
but other than that, yeah, I'm just digital. Like I like Xenoblade 3. I'm getting digitally, like, because I can't get the special edition. So why would I like?
Oh shit.
Yeah, so it's just kind of like they got us, buddy. They got us.
Yep, they did. They finally beat us down.
Yeah, now I just and the other part is like I've moved so many times. You know how tired I am of lugging all these video games around.
Dude, you're telling me I'm an action figure collector.
Oh,
There is nothing worse than moving with action
oh, that's
figures. I'm
probably got to be
telling you,
brutal.
man.
I
Like
wouldn't. I
it is awful. It makes me never want to like move out of my single bedroom apartment because I'm like I'm gonna have to box all these
so let
motherfuckers
me
up.
ask you a question.
It took me like a year.
What's
Yeah,
stopping you from getting rid of them?
my action figures.
Yeah, because it's probably the same thing that's
Oh, I love
stopping
them.
me from getting rid of games.
No. With my action figures, I love the display. I love how they look. Like, you haven't been in my apartment for a while, I
Right.
don't think, but I got like these. You can kind of see them behind me.
Mm.
I got like these awesome new IKEA Detolfs, and I got my Dragon Ball figure arts. They're all posed in there. It looks awesome. It's like a museum display piece, and that's I'm all about that. It looks really good,
See, for me, like,
but moving is the
yeah, it's a
biggest
pain in the dick.
hurdle.
But for me, like, I like going down to my game room in the basement. I like just seeing my shelf. Like, I like looking at it. Like, these are all the games I have beaten. These are all the games that I just decided that I love enough that to keep in my, possessions. It's like my own little personal trophy case, like a little library where I'm like, you
Yeah.
know what? Like, this is if anyone wanted to come down and like, hey, what kind of games is he into? Go look over there, buddy. And
Yeah, I mean, like I have no desire to get rid of my PS4 collection at this point. Like, and my PS1 collection's at my dad's, untouched. I mean, that's been untouched since I was I
whenever
moved
you
out
get that
last
back,
year.
you're gonna have to do a video of like, I don't know, out of the vault of Seth and just like what's in that collection. Because I'm sure you're gonna probably blow your own mind of like what you actually have there.
No, I think because I don't have a huge PS1 collection, but I do have a pretty substantial PS1 RPG
That yeah, and
collection.
that's where the money is.
Yeah.
That's where the home run
Now,
balls are hit.
like I said before, I did get rid of some of the big money makers, like the Lunar, yeah,
Yeah.
Lunar One on PS1. That I had a complete. I think I actually had Lunar 2 at one point as well. I think I sold them both to Elite Games. Um, but I had the complete copies of them. So that is a big bummer.
Yeah. Go all the days of collecting. I can with confidence say I'm like out of the collecting game. Like I still see YouTube videos of, oh, I'm gonna go collect this. Like prices are so inflated. We're now like if I visit a retro game store, I'll go like I'll grab games that I know like I want to touch and dabble in, and that'll be what it is for me. Like my last experience at a retro game store, I bought Soul Reaver 2, X Games skateboarding, uh, um, and then one of the Tony Hawk games that I didn't have. And like before, I would just like literally skip over all that. I'm like, nope, I'm only looking for the high dollar bangers. I'm only looking for RPGs.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, I let me get games I actually like want to look at. Like with the Soul Reaver stuff, I want to collect that entire series so I can actually play them all. And
What was that series I was trying to collect every game for? That was like a ridiculous Tales. I was trying to collect all the Tales
I told
games.
you that wasn't
Remember that?
happening, buddy. I remember you told me
Yep.
that. I'm like, good luck.
You were 100% right. I got down to the PS1
That's what I
versions,
told you
and
would
you're like,
happen.
yeah. There was only a couple of them, and you're gonna hit that hard stop right there, and that's exactly what happened.
And you know what's funny about game collecting is that there is, if especially with RPGs, there's always that one game that's the hard stop. So if you look at like a game franchise like Suikoden, right? You can get Suikoden
Yep.
1, it'll cost you, but it's attainable. Suikoden 2, stopping point. But let's say if you
Yep.
get past Suikoden 2, let's say if you bite the bullet, you pay the, I don't know what it's going for now, but when I remember it was going for like $120. Um,
Yeah.
like you eat that. Suikoden 3 is pretty cheap. Suikoden 4 fairly cheap. It was around the $30 range when I remember. And then Suikoden 5 was like the hard stopping point. Like that was like a $300+ like that was the big boy game. And then like you look at Dot Hack.
Yep.
Like
Oh
Dot
yeah.
Hack 1 through 3 pretty, I mean pretty reasonable. And then Quarantine, hard stopping point. I'm trying to think.
Do you know was there a reason for quarantine shooting so high? Was it a low print
Yeah,
count or what was it?
it was a low print count, and it was the fourth game in a series. So like if you didn't play the other three, you weren't gonna buy it. And I think it came out like, I wouldn't say late in the life cycle PS2, but like it got lost in the shuffle, like because that was already a niche. It was an RPG based off an anime, and I just feel like if you didn't buy the first three games, like that wasn't on your radar. Like you weren't like, oh, Dot Hack Quarantine's coming out, let me grab that.
But it's so weird because you would assume that same case would be for part 3, but it wasn't.
No,
It was just part 4, leading me to believe that they cut the amount out there substantially for part 4.
yeah,
They had to have cut it in half at least.
yeah. I don't know,
So I'm
man.
not
I
sure
would
what was
love to
up
know
with
the
that.
story about that, but yeah, that game had a hard stopping point. Tails obviously famously has hard stopping points. So like it's just a little bit nuts that certain RPG franchises, and there are other games that are like this too. If like I remember I was trying to collect Bomberman games, and then when I found out about like there's Bombermans on the Turbo Graphics and the Sega Saturn, stopping point. Wait, like those
Mhm.
are Saturn Bomberman's like a $500 game if you want the US version,
Yep.
and I don't even want to think about what the Turbo Graphics Bombermans are at. Like it's the same way. East is the same fucking way too. Like if like the PS2 East games are fairly cheap from what I remember. They might be in the $60-$70 range now. I could be wildly
Mhm.
incorrect, but if you want to get East Book 1 and 2, like the turbo version, you're paying upwards of $300-400. And like the yeah, so like collecting right now, and we've said this for the last decade. I feel like every year you can say that with collecting, where it's like, oh shit, these prices are nuts. These prices are inflated, and they're just gonna keep going up.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
mean,
but I don't know who's still buying them
I
because,
think
like,
there's plenty of people.
me and you were so diehard,
Yeah,
and we're out now,
yeah.
you know? So, I'm not sure who's still getting after all these
I don't know,
games
man, because the
because
stimmies
I thought
weren't
the
that
digital
much.
revolution was gonna kill them.
So did I, and
I
then
really thought the digital revolution was the coffin for them, but it
yeah.
didn't seem to.
Well, people are saying like stimulus money with all that, like, oh, that's people have had expendable income. Like, it's been 2 years now, so you would think
Yeah.
some of these games would start coming down. But then, like, I finally for the first time started really paying attention to market prices, like the trends, just because I wanted to see. Like, I always check my part of my morning routine is like I always check price charting. I like seeing what's going up, what's going down. I noticed Spider-Man games are like notorious for this. So Activision
Yes.
lost that license, they went up, and then Spider-Man No Way Home came out, and then Spider-Man games rocketed. Now they're starting to come down a little bit, but then with Into the Spider-Verse coming out, they're gonna shoot back up again. Like Spider-Man, I think Web of Shadows is an $80 game right
Mhm.
now.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah,
I looked for Edge of Time for a long time, like an absolutely like years. And I randomly found it at a retro game store one day and bought it. But that game was pretty hard to find as
yeah. I
well.
guarantee you, if you
Like
check the price of Spider-Man games, it's gonna blow your dick off. You're gonna be like, what the fuck? And
that's crazy.
yeah, so what I'm leading into is what's funny about game collecting is we're going to be sitting on gold mines here probably in the next 5 years because PS4 is kind of starting to get phased out a little bit. So you could have
Mhm.
one of two options of what you're going to do. You could buy these, especially with RPGs. I feel like this is going to be the issue. Like, let's take a look at a game like Star Ocean, right? The new one that's coming out. It's
Mhm.
getting a PS4 and a PS5 version. Now, you could say one way that the PS4 version is going to be kind of worthless because it's going to come out on PS5, but late release RPG probably not going to sell a ton of copies. So I feel like that's going to eventually shoot up. I feel like Persona 5 on PS3 is another one that's kind of sneakily under the radar going to be a fucking rare as fuck game because like not
Oh yeah, you're probably right about that.
yeah, like there are a couple of these RPGs that like are gonna start looking a little pricey. I think another game, famously, if you remember when we were working at Elite Games, remember the Last Story?
Oh yeah, I remember the
That's
last
like an
story. I
eighty
forgot
to
all about
ninety.
that
That's
game.
like an $80 to $90 game now.
I'm surprised it's not higher to be
I think
honest.
I think it's gonna keep going up. Um, I think a game like Lost Odyssey is another one that's gonna shoot up in price too. That
That
Xbox
game sucked.
that Xbox One. But you say that right, but like when people think
Mhm.
like, oh, Sakaguchi made it. I forget who the composer is. I should lose my Final Fantasy credit card right now, but like I can't remember the composer to save my fucking life, but he helped them make that too. And it being a JRPG on the Xbox 360, and I think backwards compatibility, that initiative they stopped it from what I'm told. Like it's not a thing.
Mhm.
So like games like that, Fable, so there's gonna be some market shenanigans, which it's gonna be fun because I'm out now. So like I don't really, unless something's like dirt cheap where I'm like, okay, it doesn't really bother me to buy this. Like
Now you can sit back and just watch and
yeah,
laugh, huh?
I feel like I'm the Joker now. I'm just watching the world. So
For sure.
yeah, I'm excited about that. But speaking of retro games, now that we're going to segue into something I wanted to talk about, we talked about how the digital age is very exciting and very it's convenient. Um, it's also been that way for retro games, where save for a couple of games that I want to hold on to, I got rid of most of my retro like cartridge based. I think cartridge based. See ya. And only I kept a handful of PS1 RPGs, but like with
Mm-hmm.
emulation and then these minis coming out that I can just fucking mod and put whatever the fuck I want on them, they've been godsends. So famously, Sega came out with a Sega Genesis Mini, and I loved it. I loved the fuck out of it. I modded it. I put all the games I wanted on there, and I really enjoy it. Now they're coming out with a Sega Genesis Mini 2 that's going to have some Sega CD games on it, and I, for one, am pretty excited. You, I know, are skeptical, but
Mm-hmm.
I just want to read you the list of like so far what's been announced. So you have your regulars. So Super Fantasy Zone, Comic Zones, Sonic 2, Shining Force, Sonic the Hedgehog, Gunstar Heroes, Landstalker, Thunder Force 3, Streets of Rage 2, Space Harrier 2, Columns, Golden Axe Strider, Dynamite Headdy, Monster World 4, Road Rash 2, Wonder Boy in Monster World, Light Crusader, Eternal Champions, uh, and list goes on and on. But what is really exciting is some of these Sega Genesis mini CD games that are going to be on it. So just a couple of them. Hang on, let me pull it up here for. Let me pull it up here. If you want to fill the air. um,
Uh, so my concern with this is the same concern I had for the PS1 Classic, and it is that it feels like a too little, too late thing. We had one instance of these being a smash hit, and many instances of these consoles being lame.
okay.
And that was the Super Nintendo Classic, or was it the NES Classic? The big one. I think it was the NES
Yeah, the
Classic.
NES Classic was a bit of a letdown. SNES Classic left a little bit to be desired. But if you mod it, chef's
Those,
kiss.
yeah. Um, but I don't know, man. I know you were a Sega kid. I was too, but I don't think those games hold up.
I see. I think they do. Like, as so the big ones that are going to be on it. These are the CD games. So Sonic CD is going to be there. Shining Force CD, Sylphied, Ninja Warriors, Afterburner, Outrunners, Super Hang On, Shining in the Darkness, Thunder Force 4. But then like the Lunar games are going to be on it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think there's also a chance for Snatcher to be on it. So some of these games that were just lost in that it was on a niche console and not that many people played them, but they're really great games. I finally think people are going to be able to experience that, and I think it's really exciting because a game like Snatcher's like last I checked, it was like a $700 game. So if
seven
yeah,
hundred
for a
dollars?
fucking Sega CD game. So like
Didn't you used to have that digitally
I had it.
or physically?
I had a illegally procured version of it on a CD.
Oh, okay.
I
I see.
mean,
I see.
I'm a repro guy. So like, if something's too expensive and I can get a repro, I'm getting the fucking repro. Like, I don't even care at this point.
Right.
Because like right now, for my Saturn collection, I have Panzer Dragoon Saga, Dragon Force. I forget. There's a couple other ones I have, like well over $3,000 worth of just retro stuff. But like, I got it for a fraction of the price because my Saturn's modded to play burn games, and that's what we did.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but I think it's really exciting to be able to play these games and for other people to be able to experience them. And I am so on the train of preservation. Like, I think it's important to preserve some of these games because when you and I are old and sitting in our rocking chairs waiting to die, these are gonna be the things we fucking talk about. Like, we're like, hey,
And
remember?
it shouldn't be that big of an issue, but these developers have been so careless
Yeah,
with like their games, dude. Like, famously, Kingdom Hearts 1 had to be rebuilt from the ground up because Square just lost the game.
Yeah.
They lost it.
Or famously, even
So
like Sega, like they allegedly they can't remake or redo Panzer Dragoon Saga because they lost the code.
that's insane. Imagine building something like that and then just losing it.
Yeah.
Also, the Dragoon Saga not worth a playtime. But
Have you played it?
I watched. I think I watched you play it.
Yeah, it's.
Some
I
of it.
haven't finished it or even gotten remotely far into it, but not that I want to spend a ton of time on it. I have a big incomplete on that game. I don't want to form an opinion because like I have a feeling I know what I'm gonna think, but I'm like I there's a chance it could be wrong, but I don't know when I'm
I
gonna.
was not impressed with what I
No,
saw.
yeah, it's not very it's outside looking in, not a very impressive game. Playing it for maybe an hour, wasn't impressed. So like, I also don't know when I'm gonna carve time in my life to fucking. Oh, I'm gonna sit down and play Panzer Dragoon Thug on my pattern. Like, I don't know when that's happening, but yeah, that's who knows. But yeah, like I'm a big preservationist because like this game specifically Panzer Dragoon Saga is trapped on the Sega Saturn. It's, like that game's
Yeah,
trapped. Dragon Force is trapped. Shining Force 3 trapped. There's like the list goes on and on. Like certain games are just fucking trapped on these trash systems, and like they're great games. Like so, I really believe in emulating everything. I'm willing to even pay for an emulator service. You give me like the Nintendo stuff. Like you give me a flat price that makes sense. I'll pay you, and I can emulate what the fuck I want. I'm in. So it's like I just think like it's important to keep these games relevant and in the sphere of gaming so people can appreciate like when a game is like, oh, this is a Metroidvania. Okay, well, what the fuck is Metroid? Like, where does this stem
yeah.
from? Or this game's like Chrono Trigger. Well, I still actually haven't played Chrono Trigger shamelessly, but um, I
Wow.
can appreciate that style of RPG from that era because I grew up with it. But let's say if today's gamer who's like 18, 19 years old, they didn't grow up with that. They barely
Yeah.
grew up with turn-based RPGs or platformers, or now everything's like Fortnite and Warzone and battle royales and all these other
Trash.
yeah, like all this other fucking garbage. And these games that we grew up with that like are important to us and important for gaming, like I think it's really important to keep that. So I'm all for preservations. That's why I buy these minis when they come out. I have a PlayStation Mini, I have a Turbo Graphics Mini, I have a SNES Mini, I have the Genesis Mini, I have the Neo Geo little mini console. I buy them because I think they're cool. They're cool to look at. They're HDMI. They hook up to the TV. It's painless. It's not a you don't got to lug a console around. And I also think like for the preservation, we're like, yo, I want to play Super Mario Kart. All right, let's fire it up. Where I don't got to lug out
Yeah.
a CRT and a Super Nintendo and find controllers, and it's a headache. But yeah, I definitely am on board with this. So here's my question. So let's say
Okay.
if you could put a if you had a time capsule, right? Let's say we were out in the yard and we're gonna bury some games, and in 15 years we're gonna pull them out, and that's what we're playing. What games are in there?
Games of today, we're putting in a time capsule
Games that,
for 15
let's
years.
say, the last, mm, let's say games you've played, games from that, starting from today, dating back to when you first started gaming. What's in there?
And who's the target audience for this? People that are gonna open the time capsule and
People who are, let's say, people who are early teens, or no, late teens, early 20s.
um. See, it's hard for. Are we assuming they don't have access to these games?
Let's assume they don't have access to them anymore.
Okay, so I'm gonna put Pokemon
Okay, that makes sense.
Yellow and Pokemon Crystal in there.
Okay, baby's first RPG. Okay.
Yep, yep. I'm going to put The Witcher 3 in there. I'm gonna put Chrono Trigger in there. Call of Duty 4, Halo, and maybe so I'm trying to like pack this bad boy with as much gaming history as I possibly
Hmm.
can, right? maybe something like Baldur's Gate or World of Warcraft, something on on the computer side that's really important. I mean, but like there's not really physical editions of World of Warcraft
No.
anymore that would work. Same with Baldur's Gate. So that's a little different story. But I think, yeah, definitely like Pokemon Yellow and Crystal because they're the definitive editions of those games, right?
Yeah.
Witcher 3 because I think it's everything that I think it's the culmination. I think it's still the golden standard for Western RPGs. Um, and I think you want something like Chrono Trigger that is the gold standard for JRPGs. I don't know. I don't know if like we really need. I guess like Super Mario World probably as well would be in that list for
Yeah.
me. What about you?
So for me, I when I thought about this question, I like looked at every console generation, like every time period of gaming, and something that just represent it. So, like, I think for me, I'm putting the original Mario Brothers in there, like NES
Okay.
Mario Bros. I'm putting that in there. I'll probably put I would put Metroid in there, and then The Legend of Zelda, like those three original games. I would put those in there,
Hmm.
and then
Okay.
um, I would put on like moving up to the 16-bit era. I would put. See, this is tough because there are so many important games. Like I think Chrono Trigger definitely needs to be in there. So
Yes.
I would put Chrono Trigger in there and Final Fantasy VI. Like those would be the two I'd put in there, and then I would put Super Metroid in there. Then
Okay.
moving on to the 32-bit era, I would put a game like Metal Gear is in there for me. Super Mario 64, and then as far as RPG wise, I would say Final Fantasy. It's tough because there's so many good RPGs, but like as far as mainstream, you got to put Final Fantasy 7 in there.
Hmm.
Like I think as far as like games having the most impact, and then lastly, I'm putting either GoldenEye or Perfect Dark in there. One of those two shooters has to be in there because I feel like that's when the shooter genre got real big. Is when multiplayer came into it. And then like more the more modern era, I would probably agree with you. I would put The Witcher in there, and if I can't put The Witcher in there, I'm putting one of the Elder Scrolls games in. And
Yeah, my thing was I can see the argument for like Skyrim, but
I think
I
Oblivion's
just think
better
The
than
Witcher
that.
3 I think The Witcher 3 is the culmination of Western RPGs. And I think that it builds on top of the formula that Skyrim added in, and it does it better.
Yeah, and I feel like Skyrim's on everything.
Yeah,
um,
Skyrim literally will never die.
no, and that's definitely a conversation we could have down the road. But yeah, like so for me, it's either Skyrim or The Witcher. I think like I'm leaning more towards The Witcher because I think from a storytelling perspective and a gameplay perspective and just overall quality, it's definitely with The Witcher. But I feel like Elder Scrolls, whether you put in Oblivion or Skyrim, that I feel like it was just more mainstream at that time.
Yeah,
When at the
agree.
times they came out, and then um probably I'm putting in as an example of just modern storytelling. I'm probably gonna put the first Last of Us in there, and
Okay.
just just to encapsulate all that because like I think when you look back at gaming, like who knows where gaming is gonna be at in 10 to 15 years. Like I feel like it's gonna be very VR based. I'm a little bit scared of where gaming's going because like so soon you and I are going to be screaming like back in our day we used to play video games on the couch. We didn't used to put
Right.
strap shit to our head and go running around and like I don't what I fear is like people are going to start leading these virtual lives that are better than the current lives that they live, and it's going to be a weird society where I think like I don't know, like our social interaction is going to be weird, and maybe it's just me getting old and again being set in my ways. But when I saw, you can set like your either your Google Home or your Alexa, like soon down the road, you're going to be able to set it to sound like dead relatives and shit like that. Like, imagine like being able to get into a VR, like, oh, you can hang out with your dad who died, and like I just
It's very
think,
Black Mirror esque, isn't it?
yeah, and it's like. it's a little unsettling. Like it's a little like that
Yeah,
to me, like that is very scary because like if I can like or even if you look at like like think of an anime like Sword Art Online, right? Or even Dot Hack, where like you can
yeah,
just enter this virtual world and it's great and you meet people and you're this different person and then you take the headphones off and you're I'll make fun of myself. You're a fat schmuck who's 30 or 2 years old sitting on his couch. Like, which one would you rather be? And like, I don't know, man. Like, like the way gaming is going. Like, I'm excited about it. There's definitely gonna be really good experiences, but it also scares me very much where I don't want those lines to get blurred, if that makes sense.
right. No, no, that makes sense because I did a research paper in college about the effects on VR, and although there was zero evidence that um, video games have like a long-lasting negative impact on your brain, the same cannot be said for virtual reality. Which, when they tested people playing like horror games and shooters on virtual reality, they found like significant flare ups in the parts of the brain that like they would have normally, and if they were actually doing those actions.
Yeah,
And I don't think this metaverse nonsense is actually going to catch on. I think there's too much pushback on it, and I don't
yeah.
I don't know that anybody is really in on like the metaverse. Have you known anybody that
No,
even
I don't.
says anything about it or wants
No,
it? Because I never have.
no. And the thing is, like, I want to get a VR rig at some point because there's some games I want to try for sure. But like, I don't know, like, maybe it's just us and, like, we've always been a generation, specifically people our age, like, we're at the forefront of everything. I feel like we're at the we were right at the cusp of the internet and, as gaming and tech evolved, we were right there to see it happen and to be early adopters, and so I think with VR, like, we're in that same category where, like I think you still have your Oculus, right?
I do. I
Yeah,
love my
yeah. So
Oculus.
like, I want to get one, like I said, because there's stuff I want to try. And I'm always embracive of new tech. Like I love technology, but like I
Mhm.
also, can think about like, and I hate being this person, but like the pre cell phone, like I felt like you could have a good gaming session for you know maybe it's still unhealthy to talk about, but like a significant amount of time, like 8 hours, you could just be playing a video game, be fine. Now, like I think it's hard for me to get a solid 2 hours in because let's say if I take 5 hours of my day, I'm like getting a game, probably 3 hours of that spent me fucking around on my phone or like looking at stuff or you know what I mean. So it's just I feel like
That is a choice though, right?
it
I
is a
mean,
choice.
like
It's a
you
poor
can
choice,
that
but
is that is a no, well, that is a problem you can solve, and I solved it by taking a break from social media for a long time. Just turn it off, uninstall the apps, and walk away and watch your attention span slowly increase. You're gonna be bored,
yeah.
but after a few days, you're gonna get over
You
it.
know what's weird? Speaking of, I don't really like. I post on social media, like I do, but definitely not as often as I used to. Where like every once in a while, I'll like share a meme now, or I'll say something, or I'll usually it's a meme I'm sharing, or I'll a photo of what I cooked. But like other than that, like I don't really see the draw of social media
Yeah,
except for like keeping up with sports. For me, it's like oh, I want to see Twitter. What's the next trade? What's this? So like that's what kills me is Twitter. Facebook is just yeah. Twitter is the
but you
addiction.
see, it's the damaging mindless scrolling
Yeah,
and never being bored. That's the issue, is that our brains cannot handle anything that doesn't immediately grab our attention, because most of our days, let's be honest, are spent on our phone.
yeah,
So we're endlessly scrolling through, and our brains are automatically seeing the next thing as soon as they want the next thing. it's, it's,
yeah.
it's that immediate dopamine hit, immediate, and there's no downtime in between. So when you're bored, your brain is like, all right, what's the next thing? Where it didn't used to be like that. Man, I'm telling you, like, social media and smartphones have completely ruined our attention span.
Oh
It's not
yeah,
that the games are worse. It is cell phones. That is a fact.
yeah. Because it's even hard for like it's hard for me to sometimes sit through an entire movie without checking my phone at least once. Or like, what's going on? Or I felt it vibrate. What's happening here? Like, so I get
Yeah,
it.
definitely. It is a problem that I made myself aware of. So now I try to like put my phone face down when I'm watching a movie, or like, and like last night we were watching a movie that I really wasn't interested in, but I paid for it, and we were already like halfway, 3/4 of the way through, so I was kind of like, all right, well, I'll just let it play in the background. I'll browse my phone. But if it's something that I know I really want to watch, I'll try and like just leave my phone across the room face down.
Yeah. You know,
We're not going to get it. Like you got to set some discipline for yourself. I think when you're trying to deal with something like this, because it is an addiction,
mhm,
and I think everyone's addicted to it.
yeah. One of the most liberating feelings I've ever had, and this happened maybe a week ago, where I wanted to watch a show. I just wanted to, it was Wheel of Time. I wanted to just check it out. And I inadvertently left my phone upstairs. Like I forgot it was even up there, and I watched like 5 episodes of Wheel of Time and like was into it, like focused, and I didn't realize how much time had gone by. And I looked at it was like 5 hours later. I was like, whoa, whoa! But like, it was nice where like I went back to my phone and yeah, I had a bunch of messages and shit like that. But like, it was nice that like I committed that time. Where like fuck you all. No offense to anyone that I love, but fuck you. And this is what I want to do. And I've been trying to do that more often. So now when I game, like when I like last night when I sat down to play Wild Arms, I left my phone in the kitchen, and I just sat down and grinded a couple levels out, and just enjoyed the music, enjoyed that escape mentally into that world. So I am definitely on that train with you, but
Yeah, dude,
I also am very
definitely.
scared of like again with this VR stuff and the way you can always just stay connected, that people aren't really they're not really taking the time to like in like they're enjoying themselves, but they're not like having the experiences that like mold you as a person. So like especially with COVID and now this, we're also connected, that like I feel like as like our social skills have diminished, like our ability to
Right.
talk to each other, where unless you're typing on your phone like some hate speech on fucking social media, like you don't really know how to say you disagree with somebody in person, like or you can't handle somebody having a different opinion than you. And I don't know, it's this weird Pandora's box that maybe I sound like a baby boomer on my soapbox afraid of change, because I'm sure I'm sure before tech was a thing, there were all these people like, oh, you're reading too many books, get out and build a bench, or whatever the fuck you're supposed to do. And we're probably going to be those same people, and we have to be cognizant of that, because like we don't want to sound like that, but it's also fucking like the way tech is going is like very scary, where like even you think about cars, man, like I love driving, I love fucking driving, I love cars.
Right.
There's nothing more than I love when I'm driving my car. The turbo kicks in, I hear the engine, I hear the fucking I feel it's good, it's a good feeling to just kind of rip around turns. And you know and now with these cars like being smart cars and self-driving, I'm like, are we gonna lose that? Like, am I really gonna lose that feeling of just fucking being on the road? Like, it's a good feeling, and it's so it it's crazy because like, am I gonna have that same feeling with gaming where like, like now with VR, like like instead of having something presented to me and like being told a story, now I'm living in that story, and maybe it's a bit of more real experience, but maybe I'm gonna feel emotions or things that I don't really want to feel. Like I'll
Hmm.
play like a game like The Last of Us. Like I'll play The Last of Us. I don't want to be in VR in that world. Absolutely not.
Oh, right. Absolutely.
Or-
Speaking of The Last of Us,
Mm.
those leaks came out today. We want to talk about them. What do you what's your gut check on this?
I
Because in my opinion, it looks awful.
I well, I've got two feelings on it. A, like I wasn't really in the camp of buying the new Last of Us remake or whatever. I don't even know what the fuck they're calling it, but like I played the Last of Us remastered on PS4. I enjoyed that story. I'm good. I closed that chapter, and I don't really want to go back. I don't really see a need to go back. So I guess it's maybe for people who, I don't know if you were living under a rock or what the fuck you were doing that you missed Last of Us on PS3 and PS4. Like, but I guess there are those people out there. Um,
They're expecting people to cash in from the HBO show that's coming
yeah,
out.
and
And dude, I'm telling you, those leaks came out today
that's brutal.
for The Last of Us Part 1, and I that is exactly how I imagine the PS4 version looked, and it does not look impressive at all. And you know what, man? Like, I feel no desire to go back and play that. No desire
I'll
whatsoever.
say
I'm done with it.
if it's on their streaming service, I'll check it out because I mean, why not? But Like I couldn't commit paying. I don't know what they're gonna charge for it. I'm assuming they're gonna charge $70, but that's a tough pill to swallow because like it's The Last of Us 2, but like with The Last of Us 1 story and like looking like it looks like a weird blend of Last of Us 2 and Part 1 like graphically, but like you can see the systems are very similar. I don't know. I wasn't a fan of the way it was presented. But I'm sure it's gonna sell because it's The Last of Us. But I here's my thing. I think that ship might have sailed on The Last of Us. Like I don't think it's as
What do you mean?
like I don't feel like it's that big of a cash cow like we think it is. And maybe it's just my
Yeah, I
perception.
think you might be right. Well, because they were just talking about this on Sacred Symbols this week, where like the Last of Us Part Two sold half as much as the Last of Us Part One,
Yeah.
and is that due to the bad press about the Last of Us Part Two?
Mm,
Maybe, probably not. I think it's more or less just like the Last of Us Part Two came out at a weird time, and I don't think anybody really wanted to play it. I think The Last of Us Part One was a huge PS3 game when
yeah.
the PlayStation was back on top,
It
and
was a swan
then the
song, baby.
PS4
Yeah.
version came out, and it was great. But also, I'll be honest, man. I think the industry's caught up to Naughty Dog. I don't think
Yeah.
Naughty Dog games are that special anymore. Like they're just your run of the mill third person action games at this point. And sure, like the graphically they're beautiful, but there's a lot of games that are graphically beautiful
Yeah.
now.
He,
It's not the same as it used to be.
Here's the problem that I think Sony's running into, and I think because I don't know if it's specifically maybe a Naughty Dog problem. Like the story of The Last of Us 2, I really enjoyed, minus one part, but that was I just think I don't know, like it was just maybe bad writing or maybe just too ham-fisted. It felt very David Cagey towards the end there. But like I think Sony, as far as their portfolio, if you look at every big game they release, what's the common theme?
Third person action.
Yeah. And it's like so like you have God of War, which is third person, Last of Us third person, even Horizon third person, Ghost of Tsushima third person, Spider-Man third person. So like okay, like you make these games, all right, I they're great games. I don't think they deserve to be review bombed. I think that we're a little bit unfair to Sony. But in the other aspect, like you gotta give us something new. Give me something to fucking that'll just blow me away, like those games once did. Because before we got all these bangers from Sony, and it's been a good run. It's been a beautiful run. It's been one of the best fucking runs you could possibly have as a gaming company, where you're just putting out bangers. Your first party studios are just amongst the elite. It's like Scott Hall, the famous wrestler, used to say, "All the girls want to wake up next to you. All the guys want to be you." Like that's who Sony was and is.
That's right, buddy.
And but in the same token, like we're not getting these diverse experiences. So like throw me a RPG that's different. Don't throw me a third person action with RPG elements. Like okay, you do that well. You do that great. But show me something that's new. Show me something a little bit outside the box. And I think Sony has the chops to do it. Like I think like famously like Gorilla went from first person shooter to third person. It worked out. Maybe if they go in reverse,
Yeah,
I think that'd be fresh for them. Same with Insomniac. Like give me not specifically Resistance, but like something you do good stuff, Sony. You do great stuff. But you're seeing like right now, I'm gonna be honest with you, the Microsoft first party intrigues me more right now than the Sony first party, because like Microsoft's showing me Obsidian stuff. Like I love Obsidian. I like Starfield. I'm all into
we all
Starfield. I'm
do.
gonna fucking rub
Yep.
Starfield all over my fucking body. I'm all in. But like and with them having Diablo and all that, like their first party stuff is really intriguing to me, where Sony, like I know I'm going to get my God of War. I know I'm getting like it's like going to Applebee's or it's going to TGI Fridays or any chain restaurant. Like it's going to be of quality. You know what you're getting. It's going to taste the same no matter where you go. But like you're not going to be upset if you get something that's going to, you know, really have an experience to, or even like eating chain pizza. Like as you know, famously, I hate chain pizza because like it's all the same. But like when I go to a new town or a new city, I gotta get the local. I gotta get the local pizza. Like famously in Lock Haven, when I discovered Pizza King, love it. Are they still there? Please tell me they're still there.
Yeah, they're still there, and I still don't like them.
Wow.
They don't season their crust at all. It's
But
it's an unseasoned piece of cooked dough.
it,
And I'm not about it.
I love their pizza, but like I won't order Domino's. I won't order anything else because I know what I'm gonna get. If I'm in a pickle, all right, I know what it's gonna be, and that's what I feel like the Sony first party is. Where if I know I want to get a banger experience, I haven't finished Ghost of Tsushima yet. Like I've maybe barely scratched the surface of it, and I'm like, all right, I know I can go in there and it's gonna be good. I know it's gonna be good, but it also doesn't draw me to it because it's not really a different experience for me. So it's
Yeah.
like, what do you do?
Yeah, no, I'm there with you. By the way, Ghost of Tsushima, excellent game to jump back into whenever you're feeling up to it.
I have the PS5
Because
version too,
I did that a few months ago where I was like, oh, I'm gonna play. I'll pop Ghost of Tsushima in. Right back on the horse,
dude. And
back in,
what
and it plays excellent. It didn't take me long at all. I was like, yep, here we are. This game, I love Ghost of
what
Tsushima.
kills me about that game is like, it's nothing about the game that like upsets me. It's I know I will love that game. I know that's a me game that's got me written all over it. I remember famously when I saw the trailer, I'm like, I'm scheduling a week off work for that. And ironically, like when the game came out, I did have the week off of work and said I went on vacation with my girlfriend. That's I just never touched it since. So it's just like getting older, but yeah. Again, I know it's a comfort food. I know it's something that like I know it's good. I know I'm gonna love it, but I also it's not a new experience. It's not anything. They're not revolutionizing anything. So I know like I'm not missing anything. So
Right, right.
it's a bummer too because like Sony's getting a lot of shit these days for their first party stuff, and it's not fair. It's like
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, I think it is fair because they do be releasing the same game
yeah,
genre over and over and over again. So I think it's fair criticism. And and it's weird because Sony is now in the same spot Nintendo was 5 or 6 years ago, where it's like you're buying Sony for the exclusives, and
yeah,
that's pretty much it.
yeah. I
You go
agree.
to Xbox for pretty much everything else.
I agree with that. And but see, here's a big difference. We let Nintendo get away with it. We will not. Sony never gets away with that. No,
I never let Nintendo get away with it.
you
I
you
was
are
always on Nintendo's ass about it.
you're in the minority, buddy, because like
I know I am.
they do anything remotely close to being modern or edgy for them, then everyone's like, "Holy fuck! Look at Nintendo, we're back." They're like those fucking Celtics fans, where every once in a while they pop up and puff their chests out, then they go back, then they go away for a while. But I
Yep,
digress.
yep.
So yeah, it's a weird spot we're in gaming. Last thing I wanted to talk about specifically with Sony, did you see like their weird branding with their premium like TV monitors and controllers? I guess like that
I have not seen this.
end zone or whatever the hell that brand is, where they're like they bought Evo, like the fighting tournament, and then now
Right.
they're making monitors. They're trying to, I guess they're gearing them towards PC gamers.
Well, that would make sense because Evo and PC, you're gonna get the highest possible frame rate.
Yeah.
So
Well, since you being more of a
that would make
PC guy than
sense.
I am, like I have a basic monitor for my PC, which I've been wanting to upgrade. But then when I found out HDR is trash on PC monitors, I'm like, I don't know what to do. So like that's why I wanted to bring this up because like in the PC gaming space, which I fully don't understand, I have a very, I would say, lower to mid tier PC.
Hmm.
But I I I dipped my toe in, but I didn't get in the water because like I didn't know what I was getting into, and
Hmm.
I feel like got, but like I don't know how to navigate upgrading my rig, man. So like when I saw this, that
Why
Sony,
do you feel like you got?
well, because like I can run certain games, like I can run like Destiny 2, I can run on medium, but like
Hmm.
what my problem is, I know there's a max, and
Oh, okay.
like not that I need the most expensive PC in the world, but like I want to be able to run games the way they're supposed to look, like or ideally they're gonna look. So it's just like
Well, I mean, what does that mean though, right? Because like the PS4 and 5 and the Xbox, they're not running them on max settings. They're running them on like low to medium. So you're still probably getting a better picture quality on your PC because like they're finely tuned to cut out everything starting with like the lowest noticeable things on the consoles and like because they're all standardized. You can make your game the same for every PS5, right?
Yeah.
You can't do that for PC, so that's why the graphics options exist. So like sure, when I boot up like Trails of Cold Steel 4, I can jack everything to max because I know that there's nothing on that game that's gonna push my PC. But I can't do that to say Cyberpunk, and I have a $2,000 PC.
Yeah, your PC will
There's
fucking
things in
die.
Cyberpunk, but the nice thing about that though, right, is I know that I can grab a 10-year-old game and I can jack it to max and I can make it look more modern and more tolerable. I think the beauty in graphics options for PC is on the future proofing of them. I wouldn't worry too much unless you want to go down that road about upgrading your PC to get the maximum amount of picture because you're going to sink thousands of dollars into it. The beauty of PC, I think, is in its options and availability of different experiences. But the fighting game community on PC is pretty awesome.
And that's something that like
Um,
I want to get into because I love fighting games, and
right.
I feel like that's my space. That's where I would probably have a lot of fun experiences, join different communities. But I feel like I feel like with my current setup that I'm not getting the best of what I can. I'm not getting the most bang for my buck. So like famously, when I got into
Uh,
PC gaming, like what got me hooked was like the customization, where like, oh, I can get this keyboard and this mouse and this monitor,
right.
and then like where I guess I soured my taste on it. I ran into that. Famously we talk about there's a stop gaps where that's a done. Like the monitor I wanted, like I like the Asus rig stuff, the game Republic of Gamers.
Hmm.
I like that brand. I like it. It's been quality stuff. So I famously got the Gundam keyboard. I got the
Okay.
mouse. I got the mouse
Okay.
pad. And then like
Right.
when I went to get the monitor, Fat L can't get the monitor. The monitor is like well over $1,000 at this point. So like
Well, those were also like very rare sold out items that you were
yeah,
getting.
we're taking it. We took an
And
L.
they were collector items.
Yeah,
Yeah. But what I will say is that computer monitors are significantly more expensive than TVs because of the refresh rates on them.
yeah.
And the fact that like you want a computer monitor to be super smooth. If you hook up your
I have my Switch
um
hooked up to my monitor right now, and it's beautiful.
if you hook up your computer to your
It
TV
looks like
through an
trash.
HDMI cable, you're gonna notice a
It's
significant like
trash. I don't
downgrade
like it.
in yeah, exactly. I don't like it either. And people are always like, "Oh, just run an HDMI cable. It's
No,
just like
no,
playing a
no.
console." I'm
You
like, "You're a liar.
on an
You're
HM,
full of shit."
yeah.
Yeah,
Punch them right in the fucking
I
mouth
hate
next
it.
time they say that. But
Yeah.
but I also again with PC gaming, like what killed me was I had a specific setup in mind, and I couldn't get that
Mhm.
setup because I don't understand how certain shit works. Like I wanted a dual monitor setup, and I had the two. Well, I had one monitor and then a Hisense TV I bought because I was cheap. But because again, that's the fucking price, man. Like
Yeah.
you're paying premium dollar for that setup, and
Right.
so now I'm unhappy with the monitor I have. It's just a generic Acer monitor that came with the PC. But like I want to get a nicer one, but like I don't really know. Like, should I go with this Sony stuff? Because Sony's a brand I trust. I like Sony, but like, is there
Mhm.
better options? So it's just that's why I brought that topic up because like
I just went to Amazon and I got the highest rated 32-inch monitor for my PC.
is it 4K?
That
Is
was
it
it is not 4K, it's 2K.
okay?
Because that's what I wanted to go for, the 1440p. I don't feel like I need 4K. I feel like 1440 is like a sweet spot for me.
Mhm.
Um and I have a smaller second monitor that I hooked up. Now, if I remember correctly, though, you were running into the DVI
Yeah,
cable
I don't know what
situation,
the
right?
yeah. I bought four cables trying to figure it out, and I just
That is a rough situation. Yeah,
yeah.
I ran into the same issue with my last monitor as well, and it is a really annoying situation. Um, but I will say that it's a random coincidence that both of us ran into it because that's not normal.
Oh.
Um,
It seemed pretty
Yeah,
fucking normal when you ran into it. Then I'm like, oh god.
yeah. No, dude, you can also just like go to Walmart, and Walmart actually has some pretty legitimate monitors for sale. They have like the Asus Predator, which is like the go-to for your FPS pros and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and
I was leaning towards
stuff like
some
that.
of
I mean,
that, like, I'm gonna go with the Asus ROG, the Republic of Gamer stuff that's not Gundam branded, because
yeah,
like an asshole. But well, like have you seen that Gundam keyboard I have, right?
yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, you know where it's at now?
Where?
Basement. It's not even hooked up to the PC.
Why?
Because this is again us getting older. I live with my girlfriend. She's like, I don't like this keyboard. It's too loud.
Oh my god. Oh, because it's mechanical.
Yeah, because like she likes to type her blog and stuff on it, and like she's like, I don't like this keyboard. It's too loud. So she's like,
Oh, it
could you
sucks.
put the regular one back on? I'm like, yes.
She's like, "Do you understand? Do you know like what you're typing on right now? You should feel privileged."
Dude, yeah, it breaks my heart because that fucking keyboard is like fucking. It's like being in the cockpit of a Gundam, like you're fucking typing in your codes and shit. But like she likes
Yeah.
the mouse that lights up, so I'm just like I can't with you because like I still have the Gundam mouse. But yeah, and now the headset's expensive, so I have an incomplete set.
Yeah. I just looked it up. That is a good monitor, the 1440p monitor.
Yeah, what, the
It's
Predator
got
or
everything
the
you want. The Republic of Gamer Gundam monitor,
yeah.
$700 though,
See, that's
but it is a beauty.
I know, like, so and it's what sucks is like it's right in that striking distance where I could get it. It'd be really fucking hard to justify, but like I could get it.
Yep.
And that's my issue at PC gaming, man. Like I want to upgrade the RAM. I want to get a new graphics card. I want to do all these things. I feel like I should just build a new PC, but like I don't know, like, if it's going to be more cost efficient to just build a new one or buy another pre-built. Like I don't really know what to do. It's tough
It
stuff.
depends on the market. It depends on the
Well,
market,
right
you
now
know.
in the market
Right
still
when
fucked.
Yeah, it's coming down a little bit. Like when you bought your PC, it was way more beneficial to just buy a pre-built. It was cheaper that way. Um, I don't see a reason you would have to build a whole new one. Just find your bottleneck and upgrade the bottleneck piece by piece. You
Okay,
know.
that makes sense.
I don't remember exactly what rig you have
I have,
by heart,
I have
but
the
I
one
don't
that
think
has a
I don't.
1660 in it, or I forget the chipset, but
Yeah.
I've had some good experiences. Like we were playing Final Fantasy 14. I got really into Fantasy Star Online, the new Genesis. I was playing that. I was playing Back for Blood. What else was I playing? Played a little bit of Fallout 76, which actually I really enjoyed somehow. Uh, I got into the other Trails games, so like I was really having a great experience on my PC. And then like all of a sudden when I realized like I can run like Cyberpunk, I can run on like low.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, I don't want to play that on low. Don't tell me I'm playing something on low. Just like the minute the game told me that, I was like, I'm just gonna go play it on my PS5. Fuck this. And like,
I'm Pedro Carrasquillo, and I only do the best of the best.
exactly, like exactly. But it's one of those things. Like it's definitely a catch 22. But well, I'll keep everyone updated on the PC space. Um, Now getting into some of the other housekeeping stuff. I'm still fighting with Squarespace about this blog, so I'm probably gonna go to a different site, or not Squarespace, WordPress. Like I created the account, and they're like,
Okay,
"Oh yeah, we'll send you the link for your password," and then like I never got the link, so I emailed their support team, haven't heard anything back. So WordPress gave me just a big old
that's nice.
fuck you, I guess. So
That's nice.
anyone who tries to create a WordPress account with Alpha Nerds, good luck. Um, but so I'm currently looking to see where I can have host a blog, or I guess I'm gonna have to build a website myself, which I haven't done since like high school. So that'll be a
Hmm.
fun adventure. But I definitely want to get that rolling here in the next month or so. And we are planning towards a retrospective. The first one, I believe we agreed upon, we will do a retrospective on Invincible, which I got to get started. Like I started like the second episode and I got distracted, but this weekend I have some time because have the house to myself. The missus will be away working
Nice.
for 16 hours or whatever it
Nice.
is. So that'll be prime time, invincible time. And
Nice.
then I was gonna ask you, are the comics available on Kindle? Like, I didn't look yet. Like, is there a way I
Yeah.
could? Okay, all right, because I kind of want to at
They
least.
should be all available to download
All
digitally.
right.
If that, I mean, is that what you want to do? You want to do the show and the
Well,
comics?
I want to at least dabble in the comics, so I kind of have a basis. You got like anything, you gotta have a good foundation. You gotta have good fundies. If you're gonna, if
The show is great. The comics are better.
that's, I remember you
Invincible's the best
famously saying that.
comic of all time. Yep.
So yeah, that we're definitely looking at talking about that. We will once. I mean, we're not gonna announce anything, I guess, but you'll know when it's up. And then I would definitely want to our next retrospective after that. I definitely want to talk about a specific game. We haven't decided what. We kind of identified one because I remember famously we played through Chrono Cross and we really liked that experience doing it together. We never finished Final Fantasy 9, but that's fine. We didn't need to
No.
finish Final Fantasy 9, but I think we should pick another game, preferably a PS1 RPG that we can both easily access.
Just let me know.
I think I know what
Legendary Dragoon we talked
yeah,
about.
that's the one I had in mind. So that's definitely on the docket. Whenever we can, whenever I get time to get it started, I'll let you know, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
But you definitely be on the lookout for that. Seth, was there anything you wanted to plug, sir?
We have our YouTube channel up, and hopefully, if you're listening to this, you already know. That is just Alpha Nerds on YouTube, and make sure you guys check that out and give us, a like and a subscription if you can.
And leave us
It's
a
rough
comment.
out
Leave us
there.
some fucking comments,
Yeah,
even if they're negative
yeah.
ones.
If you leave us
Harass me.
comments and if you leave us comments and questions, we will answer them on the show. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We're give us some support. It's hard out there getting a new channel off the ground, so
I'm excited
we
for
could
this.
use a little bit of a share RuneScape.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely share us. Yeah, definitely like, comment, subscribe. Oh, I haven't said that in years. And like I said, positive, negative, just interact with us. We're definitely going on this new adventure together. I'm excited. I feel
Yep,
reinvigorated, re-energized, and now that, like, as an older gamer, and we're grizzled vets now.
yep.
We're fucking
It's
grizzled
it's our
veterans.
time.
So
It's our time.
definitely our
We
time.
dicked around for too many years.
Yeah, no, I'm liking this. This has definitely been good stuff, man. Well,
We should have streamed a couple years ago when we played through Chrono Cross.
oh,
We should
that'd
have
been great.
streamed that playthrough, the absolute destruction of Chrono Cross.
Yeah,
That I
you taught me Chrono Cross at an elite level, and you taught me so well. You taught me so well, I can't replicate it. So, yeah, but I feel like we should have streamed that too, because there's definitely some funny moments. Like I don't know why, for some reason I thought Pierre was just the best. I'm like, yo, Pierre needs to be
You
here.
wouldn't let go.
And the funny part is he was getting like kill shots at certain bosses.
Oh, I know. He would do like 3 HP, but it was the boss's last 3 HP. It was making me so mad. I couldn't convince you to get rid of him.
No,
Terrible.
and then when Kid showed up, we had the worst roll on Kid that you
Yep.
could possibly have. And like, I remember you're like, she's a good character, and I'm just like, remember just giving Kid shit, because anytime we needed her to do anything, it was miss, or just can't fucking
Yep.
rely on Kid.
Because their stats grow in the background randomly when you're playing through the game, and hers did not grow well at all in that playthrough.
Oh my
So
god.
it was a rough one. But I am down to play Legend of Dragoon. I'm interested to see how our tastes have changed on that game throughout the years, because I think you might come away from that being more positive, and I might come away from it being more negative.
That is definitely interesting. Well, I will,
Yeah.
like I said, we will let you know when that is going to be rolled out. Because I don't know how long that game is. Like a 30-hour RPG? Like, is it long?
That's 4 discs, but I think it's one of those like Final Fantasy VII, where like the last disc is like the final battle.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll do some research. We'll do a little research into that. But that's been our show. Appreciate you for listening. Definitely share us on social media. Again, I've been Pedro. This has been Seth, and we are the Alpha Nerds. Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.
Toodle fuck.